So the guys at Exway were nice enough to send me this brand new electric skateboard. It's fast! I am super excited to test this guy out, mainly because it's a hub drive. Look at that. I mean, it's like you can't even tell which ones are the motors, which ones are just regular wheels. Really excited to see what that's like. And also, I mean, look how sleek this thing is. Where are the batteries? They're nowhere to be found. No wires. I mean, it's a really clean design. It's really well thought out. There are some downsides with this design. I mean, one of them being that the deck is gonna be a little stiffer because the batteries are integrated into the board. I'm really looking forward to see how that compares with my boosted board. And then also with these hub drive motors, I've always heard they don't have as much torque as a belt drive motor, so I'll be very interested to see how that compares, especially on the hills around me. Battery wise, it's very similar to my boosted board. I think it's 193 watt hours, which is amazing that they've got that packed in this deck. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Also, you can see it's got this really cool kind of like rhino line surface. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with that too. I think that'll be nice and durable for when it gets scuffed up and stuff like that. But it's just super clean. I really like the way it looks. It's got a nice little controller here. This guy, pretty good. And to turn it on, all you do is just, see it's got a little screen there. It's pretty cool. One thing that's nice is it gives you the battery display on the board and on the controller at the same time. That's pretty cool. It does that. It's got this kind of like nice rubberized finish to it as well. I think it's pretty good. So now the board's ready to go. I don't have to do anything else. So on the boosted board that I have a V2. You have to turn on the board manually and then turn the controller on. So that's kind of a nice feature. So now you're, let's see what it sounds like. I was very impressed with the app on this thing. It was a lot more customizable than the boosted app. You reconnect here. And it connected right away. I haven't charged the battery on the board or the controller yet, so I'll have to do that here in a minute. But you can see it's shipped with 38% battery. It says I have a 6-mile range on that. Gives you some temperature stuff, and then on the skateboard itself, so it's already connected. Haven't put any miles on it yet, so that'll change soon. It's on safe mode. They don't let you increase the mode for like the first 6 miles, which is probably a pretty good feature, so I'll have to go slow for a little bit. And it also has this free mode thing. I thought that was really cool. So that makes it to where for beginners let's see, accessible. Yeah, but basically what it is that the free mode means that you won't go in reverse, or it allows you to go in reverse. So right now it's set up to where it'll only go forward, but it won't go back. So that's pretty cool. That's one thing that when you're teaching people how to ride, sometimes when the board goes in reverse, they just fall off. It's nice so that it only brakes, which is good. It's kind of similar to the simple stop on the one wheel pint, which I wish all the other one wheels had, but that's another story. Also has on here change gears while moving. That's kind of cool. It's nice you can disable that. Like if you're letting other people ride, you don't want them to go to the faster mode. That's also a pretty cool feature. And then turbo mode, which will allow it to go even faster, which I can't do yet. Also lets you change the wheel size. I assume, I haven't checked the boosted app, I assume they needed to do that because on their new wheels that they released, they're different size, and that might mess things up. Also has the power mode, so you can switch from a hub motor to a riot motor. That's another really cool feature about this board. This is the regular baseline X1 Pro, which I think is $1,000, and it just comes with the hub motors. But if you want, you can upgrade the motors later on. So all you gotta do is disconnect this rear truck here, and they have a whole new piece that just bolts right on, and then you can switch, and that new piece will have the belt drive. So if you get tired of the hub drive motors and you want to have belt drive, you can just swap that out. Well, that's a really cool feature. I guess it just plugs in there. So that's pretty neat. I think that's $300, $400. So it definitely starts making this board pretty pricey, and you're getting into the same price as a boosted board. So I'll be very interested to see how it handles compared to that. Also allows you to they have these different modes in here. You have this advanced mode. You can change like how the acceleration and the braking curves are on the different modes. So you have 4 different levels that you can choose from, and then with those, what they call them gears, within those gears you can then change what the braking and the acceleration is. So that's pretty cool that you can customize all this stuff, kind of like the digital shaping on the one wheel. So I thought that was a pretty neat feature. Kind of all I noticed so far for the app, but overall I thought the app was pretty impressive. It connected right away. I didn't have any problems with that either. And then as far as the charging goes, it's got this nice little door here on the back here, just flips down. It's got a little magnetic click on there. And the nice thing about that is like the charger itself is a magnetic thing, so it just snaps right on, kind of like the old MacBooks, which I loved those. It was nice that it would always just disconnect instead of like snapping the board down. We'll see how that goes long term, but so far, just me trying it out to snap it on there, it worked really well. That was pretty cool. One more cool thing, if you can see that here, it's got this kind of thick grip tape, and it's squishy. I don't know if you can see it at all as I'm pushing on it. So the idea behind the grip tape is it's supposed to have a little extra cushion for you because this board is not very flexible because the batteries are into the deck. I think that was just their way of trying to help fix that. So I'll be very interested to see when I'm riding this thing if it does absorb some of those bumps or if it's going to just be really jarring. So that's kind of the main one of the main concerns I have from riding it, other than just the torque of the motors themselves. Other concerns from the design standpoint, from just looking at it, there are no bolt holes on the top, right? Anywhere. There's also no way on the bottom to remove the batteries. So I assume that anything service-wise you have to take this grip tape off, which it does look like it peels up pretty easily. And then yeah, so there's the bolts there underneath. I'll go ahead and stick that back down. So it's probably not the end of the world. You can just pull this stuff up and unbolt stuff if you need to. I mean, that's the only downside compared to like a boosted board where they just punch straight through the grip tape. But overall, I mean, if it comes up that easily and then you just kind of stick it back down, that's probably not a big deal. As far as accessing the batteries go, I don't know how easy that is. I don't really want to take this whole thing apart. Maybe I'll see if anybody else has already done that. But a couple of my friends had issues with their boosted, with their batteries on their boosted boards, the extended range ones. They had to send them back to boosted to get replacements. And so I don't know for this thing if you have to send the whole board back. I'll have to do a little research on that to find out. But if you guys know, let me know. Shoot me a comment down below how the battery replacement works, or if y'all have had any problems with the batteries. But that is one thing that I've been very impressed with Boosted is their customer service. It's been really good. This here is the board that I've got. This is the good old V2 long board, and you kind of see them side by side here. And Boosted was always really good about helping me out and fixing stuff whenever I had issues. And like with the first week of owning it, I bought it used, and the rear wheel fell off, and I lost one of the washers. They sent me one for free, so I was very impressed with that. So I'd love to hear any of your experiences if you've owned an Exway in the past, any of the other models, what their customer service has been like, because this is my first experience with them. They've been awesome so far. They've been very responsive to my emails. But I haven't run into any issues, so we'll see how that goes in the future. But that's definitely one thing I can say as a very good pro for me with Boosted is anytime myself or any of my friends have had issues, they've always been pretty prompt about fixing stuff. So they even, one of my friends bought his board used, and they replaced his battery for free when they had an issue with the battery. So that was pretty cool. But hopefully Exway also stands by their products the same way that Boosted does. Let me just give you a quick sound comparison with the Boosted. Turn the controller on. You can see it's definitely a much more basic controller that the Boosted board has compared to the Exway. I really like the LED. That's so Toronto. It's definitely like a nice little R2-D2 kind of. See the Exway. This is Boosted. It's got a little bit of a curved deck, kind of like the Boosted Mini X. See, yeah, it's kind of got that lip. So I'll be interested to see how that feels. You can see when I push on it, it doesn't flex at all. So that'll be very interesting to see what that's like. And again, this is a V2 Boosted board. You can see it doesn't have that same side-to-side flex. It's got a little bit of that lip, but not the same. You can see how much like nothing there. So that'll be interesting to see what that deck feels like. There's really three things that I'm really interested to see how this thing works. So the first is the motors. Obviously, I'm very interested to see how these hub drive motors stack up to a belt drive. The next thing is going to be this deck. Is this stiff deck going to be comfortable, or is it going to be very jarring on the roads? And then the third thing is going to be the controller, because all this stuff is kind of meaningless if the power delivery is not smooth in this thing, or if it disconnects. Both those things are kind of a safety issue, and they make the board not as fun to ride. So, but if all those three things are good, then I mean, this is potentially a really awesome board with a very sleek design. So let's get out and put some miles on it. All right, so first 5 minutes with this guy, and I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. It's pretty fun. I had to tighten the trucks a little bit. They were pretty loose for my taste, but I mean, the carving is fun, and it's super quiet. I love how quiet it is. The stiff deck so far has not been a big deal for me, but this thing right now, I don't know if you can see this, is limited on speed. I can only go 20 kilometers an hour, or about 12 miles an hour. So I gotta do that for the first 6 miles. So let me get that done, and then I'll check back in with you guys when I actually take this thing up a little faster. But initial impressions though, I like it. It feels good. Now, and I'm pretty sure based on just like this little bit of, the little torque that you get initially before the thing kind of slows you down, makes me feel like this thing's gonna be pretty fast. So let me get this 6 miles done. I'll check back with you guys. Just so weird riding a board that is silent. It's really fun. I really like it so far. The quietness of it is pretty cool, and then you gotta be careful when you're passing people because they can't hear you like they can on a boosted board. Another thing, so I forgot to mention before, this thing is actually IP55 or IP50 something. I'll put a note down here for what it actually is, but this thing actually is rated to be water resistant. The boosted board is not, so it doesn't have, I mean, I think all these boards are fairly water resistant. I mean, I've definitely taken my boosted board out when it's wet and rainy, and it hasn't been a big deal. But at least this thing has been certified to some level of water resistance, so rain and splashes like this stuff should be fine. Still cruising along, but yeah, it's been really nice just passing people on this really pretty day like it is today, and not having the whine of the boost board. There are definitely times when I like that whine. I think it's really cool, but you know, when people are out just like enjoying a walk and you hear it's, you know, I could see it's kind of invasive. On your left. All right. All right, let's do a little check here. This thing. So I've used 66%. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see how far I've gone. There's remaining distance of 10.7 miles. You can see that. And odometer. That's like really bright, but it's 3.9 miles. I don't know if you can see that. So I still haven't done 6, so let's keep going. What's that mean? Guess it takes a sec to, it must take a sec when it's on the app to like reconnect. I don't know what that's about. I'll have to read up on that. Seems like it's working good now though. Maybe you can't be riding this thing while it's connected to the app? I don't know. So I have noticed the bearings are popping, at least the rear ones. I don't know if you can hear that, especially when I carve some. That's the noise I was talking about. All right, I hit 6 miles. I have unlocked gear 4, or level 4, so full throttle. Here we go. It's fast. That's full speed. All right, this is much more fun. This is a blast. The controller is very smooth. I set it to free mode so that it has reverse. I don't know, I think that changes the shape of the acceleration curve. The only thing I'll say is it off the line is a little slower than the boosted board at full throttle, but I can adjust that in the app, so I suspect I can make that better. It's fun. Brakes feel good. Getting an alarm here. What's that mean? Ooh, 16%. Crap, I'm almost out of juice. Well, I think this is gonna be all you're gonna get today, guys. I'm gonna get back and plug this thing in, but it is a lot of fun. Figure out where I'm actually going. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, I thought it had like a motor on it.
It does.
Oh, it does?
They're just like tiny. They're in the wheels.
Gosh, no way.
Yeah, I just got this. I was just trying it out. It's pretty nuts.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like silent too.
That's awesome, man. See ya.
There were 3 things that I was worried about with this guy. One was the app and the controller, and so far that's been really good, and it's still more customizable, so I'll have to mess with that later. The only time I had any disconnect stuff was when I had the app turned on my phone and trying to ride the board at the same time. I think you have to turn the app off and then start riding, and then once I did that, that was totally fine. I was also a little bit worried about the deck being really stiff, and I didn't have a problem with that at all. Now, I didn't take it on really rough roads today, but I mean, I don't really like riding a skateboard on rough roads anyway, and so with the kind of roads that I was on, like on the trail today, on the Swamp Rabbit Trail, it was a blast. Carving was really fun. I mean, I had fun on it. I can't complain about that at all. I don't know if this like kind of foam thing was causing some absorption and helping out with some of the bumps and stuff, but overall that was good. And the last thing I was worried about was just the acceleration. Now, I left it in the stock settings today on this thing, and I will say it accelerated a little bit slower than the boosted board, but the speed was definitely there, and it was very smooth and just silent. I loved how silent it was. But yeah, so I'll have to play around with the settings some more in the future and see if I can make the acceleration a little bit faster right off the line, because I suspect that I can, because it's customizable in the app. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you're thinking about getting one of these things, I think it's an awesome value for the money. I didn't even have this thing on turbo mode, and I think that turbo mode makes this thing go even faster, so I'll have to try that out in the future. But yeah, so stick around for the next video, and I will take this thing on a range test. Because I had to like use it slow today at the first 6 miles or whatever, I didn't want to use that for a range test, so I'll charge it up and take it for a spin next time. And if you found this video helpful, shoot it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to check out some more videos on this Exway. And thanks again, Exway, for sending me this board. I really appreciate the opportunity to try it out. Just so you guys know, they sent it to me for free, but obviously they didn't ask me to give them a positive review, just my honest opinion of it. And so far, it's pretty good. So talk to you guys later. See you. Back for the camera. I just got passed by that biker. That never happens. Unlock me! Good. Concrete. Woo. Just so light. It doesn't look like an electric skateboard at all. Very impressed, guys. All right, later.